Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dan. I am here for my WBG Wi-Fi week 7 battle. Sorry, I'm doing some post-comms recording with it sped up again this week. Again, I've had some mic issues, and I'm rectifying it. I'm doing this on a computer on a business trip, or my laptop on a business trip instead of my PC. So we're doing our best with what we have currently, but. He was up against Kirby this week, and this was sort of a must-win for me to get into the playoffs. Kirby has a pretty solid team with the Whimsicott speed control being able to make it one of the few teams that can consistently go over the top of my team in terms of speed, and the Dragapult also helps out with that. So having the option of a Trick Room mode seemed like it could be important for me, but I really opted against that because Walking Wake Morgrem just looks so good. So I knew Kirby had a Terra Dragon Volcrona here. I had a decent terrestrialization if you just went for the Terra Blast. It seemed so obvious that I opted not to play as if it was going to happen. I made this play assuming that he wouldn't just go for the obvious play because my defensive plays just seem so obvious if I'm going to assume that Terra Dragon is Terra Blast. And I don't expect him to just go straight for it for the obvious play. But he does in fact just Terra Dragon. He gets the Cotton Spore out, and that's going to allow this Terra Blast to come on through, and it's a rough start for your boy here because I did not play around the obvious play. So I'm in a bad spot here because neither of these things can really handle Terra Dragon, Volcarona very well. Torkoal might have something, but I don't have anything that really hits it, and assuming it's got a fire type move, I'm going to have to Terra this Brute Bonnet not to just immediately die. So I decide my out here is I've got to slowly play a Spore game and hope I get a lot of turns of sleep, and I'm able to just chip some damage down and proactively Spore stuff with this Brute Bonnet, and that's sort of my only out here. It was a really rough turn one, and I don't really have a huge out given the current situation, especially because I will be sun boosting Flamethrowers, so even if it's a neutral hit into my Brute Bonnet, it's not going to be something I am going to enjoy. So I do go for the Terra, of course, to attempt to survive, and a Moonblast comes into the Brute Bonnet, not very effective because I have that, but we do go directly into the Protect with the Spore, so I've got to go for it again, and I'll just try and get some chip damage with this Torkoal's Heat Wave. Like I said, this is... Battle 1 is functionally over at this point. It's not a great spot for me. There's not a lot I can do to damage this Volcarona successfully because I don't have good super effective hits into the Dragon type with what I have left, and that Terrakion coming out just sort of is going to ice it up for me. So I do get a Spore off on it, which helps to some extent, and I get the Heat Wave, and looking at that damage, I think that's got to be a AV on the Terrakion, which would be great information. If I can learn what the item is on the Terrakion, then I have not completely wasted this battle. So I get my Morgrem out, and I'm hoping that I can get an attack off with this Torkoal to try to figure out what the damage is, and I do just get the Solar Beam off, and looking at the damage that comes out, I'm fairly certain that's AV. Like, Torkoal doing less than 50% with the Solar Beam. I know Torkoal doesn't have the best special attack in the world, but Terrakion doesn't have the best special defense. So, Terrakion can't protect, and I'm pretty confident in that. So I'm going to play this to the best of my ability here, and I'm just basically going to assume a 3-turn sleep, and that is the only out that I have at this point. But I was able to get the fake tears off and go for the Solar Beam to try to just get the KO on this Terrakion, and I do get the KO on Terrakion. So we're slowly grinding through this team, regardless of our bad position. So up next we get the Whimsicott. I can try and go for a Heat Wave here, maybe do a little something, but no, Morgrem goes down. And then we get the Wake Up on the Volcarona, Terra Blast comes on out, and yeah, that's functionally going to wrap up game 1 for us. And the Sunlight goes away, Brute Bonnet comes on out. I could go for a Sucker Punch if I want to reveal that to try and get some damage calcs, but I choose not to reveal the information. I'll just click Spore, which is good because he goes for the Protect to try to get some information, and the Moonblast comes on out, so I still don't reveal any new moves on the Brute Bonnet, which was important for me. And yeah, so we see the Cotton Spore coming out again. Instead of Tailwind, Cotton Spore is interesting on this team. I'm not sure I fully agree with it. Like, I understand, but it's less susceptible to some of the nonsense that can come on out. But Tailwind's just generally better. So in game 2, Sandy Shocks is probably going to be my go-to here because he's Terra Water Terrakion, so if I can call a Terra turn correctly, I'm feeling pretty good about it. But it's looking like it's a bit of a rough matchup for me if he's able to set Tailwind. But he has Cotton Spore instead of Tailwind, so again, I've definitely got a bit more of an out than I would normally in this type of matchup. But we do see that get a completely new lead with the Scrafty and the Terrakion. So I'm assuming that Terrakion is... Oh, and I am booster speed, so I'm fast. So I'm assuming that Terrakion is AV. That's based on everything that I've seen. So I kind of just want to go for the fake tears and either make a call that it's going to Terra or not Terra and see what I can do with the Sandy Shocks. But the Scrafty's probably got fake out. But my Morgrem is probably faster than the Scrafty. So instead I go for the fake out onto it because I'm assuming that the fake out comes out from the Scrafty, and it does. So basically just a neutral turn there. It's about as good as that turn could have gone for me. So now I've got to make a call. Do I think that this thing's going to Terra, or do I think it's going to switch out, or what do I think is going to happen? And I'm just going to go for the fake tears Earth Power because even if it Terras, it'll do a decent chunk. And he switches in the Whimsicott, which is obviously not the best target for an Earth Power, but at -2 defense it should still be a 2-hit, and it will be. So I can just aim Earth Power into that slot again. And we do see the Snarl come out here. So Earth Power is still going to kill there, and I'm just going to go for the Dazzling Gleam, because even at -1, single target Dazzling Gleam into 4x super effective Scrafty is going to do me a decent chunk of damage. Wouldn't really expect more than half because of the Snarl, but we are able to take out the Whimsicott, and it doesn't even go for a Cotton Spore, so it was going for an attacking move, and probably a Moonblast into the Morgrem, which puts us in a really good spot now, because he was going for the double up into the Morgrem. Morgrem survives. I'm still only at -1 on the Sandy Shocks, and I'm going to be faster than the stuff on his team because I had the booster speed go. So Terrakion comes back out here. Obviously Earth Power makes the most sense, but I'm going to call the Terra this turn because he hasn't used it yet, and, you know, already switch this in just to take that damage. This might not kill because I'm booster speed, not special attack, and I do think it's AV, but he does Terra, so I'm going to just launch a massive Thunderbolt into this thing this turn. I'm feeling very happy with my choice this turn, because now it's in range for a whole bunch of stuff. And the Close Combat comes out, Sandy Shock survives, and the double up Drain Punch does take it out. So that's actually not the worst thing in the world for me, because now Terrakion's at -3 special defense, and Walking Wake's going to end up being faster than it, which is fantastic for me. And I do go for the, I do consider the Terra Fairy Terra Blast into that turn, into it, depending on some switches. I don't want to attack directly into a defensive switch, and the Terra Fairy Terra Blast hits the most thing, or the Terra Poison Terra Blast hits the most things on his team for neutral, without getting punished. So Walking Wake is able to Terra, and I now will resist the Drain Punches, which is great into the Scrafty, and I get my Terra Blast off, and that's definitely going to kill it at -3, even with AV. So Terrakion goes down, and then a Snarl comes out, Walking Wake falls to -1, Torkoal also falls to -1. So I know that Hydro Steam, like, I can get the Morgrem in, and Fake Tears pressure to counteract the Snarl, and I'll have Fake Out pressure. I sort of expect a Protect this turn from the Volcarona, but I don't want to get punished in case it doesn't go for the Protect. So it protects. My opponent's making the straightforward correct play every turn, so trying to make a call just is very tricky in this case. So I do think I just want to take out the Scrafty, go for the Hydro Steam. He does go for the double, which is why I made this play. He doesn't get it, but the Hydro Steam might not kill now at -2, even in the sun. But now we're in a position where the Hydro Steam, I can just Hydro Steam Dazzling Gleam. He's never going to be able to outrun this Walking Wake and survive a turn. So he's just basically is going to be pinned into only going for Protects to minimize damage on the Scrafty, and he doesn't even go for the Protect. Again, this is why you can't call them going for a Protect every turn. And then now we're just in a good position to wrap this game up with the Walking Wake. Even at -1, I should be able to 1v1 that Scrafty pretty effectively. And I go for the Solar Beam for guaranteed damage, because then even after Snarl it should be fine. But he goes for the Drain Punch. Solar Beam, I'm not sure if it'll kill from this range, but guaranteed damage, and then I'm definitely in Hydro Steam range this turn, which is all I need to lock this up, and I'll go for the Earth Power because that can't miss either. So we wrap up game number 2 pretty effectively, and we're going into game number 3. So game 3, the Sandy Shocks is very important for me. I do opt to go with the same 4 because the Morgrem, actually, with the Fake Out and Fake Tears pressure, is pretty huge into this matchup for me. And Sandy Shocks, offensively, looking at his team, lines up very well. It beats both forms of the Terrakion. It pressures the Primarina. It's decent into the Volcarona. I wouldn't say it's great there, but decent. It's got some decent pressure into the Scrafty as well. The Dragapult's not a great matchup for it, and the Whimsicott can resist both of its attacks, but we did see that with Fake Tears, I'm still going to be doing decent damage into the Whimsicott. I assume the Dragapult is clear body, so Fake Tears is not going to work as much there, and we do see the Dragapult lead, so this is trickier for me. I'm going to outrun it until the Cotton Spore comes out. So Fake Out makes a lot of sense. Maybe Protect. Let's see what's going on. I mean, this is just the alternate defensive play to try to figure out what the game plan is here. Actually, wait, no. The best play here is Protect Taunt into the Whimsicott so Cotton Spore can't get me. And he just goes straight for a Fake Tears, which means now I definitely can't be Cotton Spore. So now I'm actually going to outspeed the Dragapult, which is great. And he does go for the double up into the Protect. So Whimsicott can't do anything in this position. I'm just going to click Dazzling Gleam to break any sashes, and Earth Power the Dragapult will do a decent chunk to it, and I will outspeed it. It probably won't kill, almost certainly, but maybe with this Dazzling Gleam double up it does. Draco Meteor still does a lot to me, and we'll see if the Dragapult, this Dazzling Gleam double up is enough, because I am without Sandy Shock, so that's this matchup, but we do trade it for the Dragapult and have a taunted Whimsicott that's taken some damage, and that's a trade-off I think we take. Because without speed control, this matchup looks a lot better for me. But here it gets tricky, because now we have to call, do we think it's going to go for the Terra Dragon Terra Blast again? And he's already shown his willingness to just go for that. Or do I want to call that that's not happening and get a lot more offensive? He doesn't have speed control, so I can do something like switch into the Torkoal, Terra Poison, and do something with that, but we do just see the switching coming out. So Scrafty comes on out. I'm now going to be under Fake Out pressure, but I'll put the Sun up, and I Protect to see if we can figure out what the Terra is going to be. Because if this thing Terra Dragons, I've got to find a way to break through it. This play looks really bad if he goes for a Quiver Dance, but he doesn't. He actually fails to Protect because it was the last thing that could possibly move that turn. So he will get 100% chance to Protect this turn if he wants to, but he's also got Fake Out pressure directly into the Walking Wake, which is less than ideal for me. Because now he can Fake Out Terra Dragon, Terra Blast if he wants to, which is why I put the Morgrem in there, because that's the play I'm calling. But he does not Terra Dragon. He goes for the Fiery Dance into the Morgrem, and I'm in a bit of a rough spot here because I don't have Fake Out pressure anymore. He can pivot around his speed control, but the Volcarona is really the only thing that's going to be doing a huge amount of damage, but missing the Heat Wave is unfortunate there. I do have it pinned in terms of offensive output. because now I can definitely kill. If I kill this Volcarona, he doesn't have the offenses to kill Walking Wake if I Terra it with Terra Poison. And Terra Poison will let me survive one Terra Blast. So I have to decide if I think this Volcarona is going to be going for a... Terra Protect is almost never the correct play. I was just running low on time. But I have to decide if I think this thing's going to go for a Terra here. And he doesn't commit it. I am now committed into mine, but he goes for a Protect as well. So I just dodge a Snarl functionally on the Walking Wake. And I go for a Heat Wave, which could give me a burn on the Scrafty. Never lucky. I click Heat Wave again. And now I have to decide, do I think this thing's going to Terra? Do I think I can kill, even if it does Terra? Do I want to go for a Draco Meteor and put myself at -2 because I can't switch out? So I'm in a bit of a predicament. I do end up just going for the Hydro Steam, and he switches out into the Whimsicott, and now this is fantastic for me. I see the Terra go out on the Scrafty. With the Terra on the Scrafty, if I connect with this Heat Wave, then even though the Scrafty's going to last forever, I know that the Volcarona can't Terra, so I can just keep it pinned with Hydro Steam, and eventually I'm going to kill it through a Protect, and then I've just got to be able to win this 2v1 against Scrafty. And he's playing such a dangerous game with Scrafty. Even if he snarls everything down to -6, he's not doing a lot of damage, and one crit wins me the game. And that's a game I'm okay with playing, trying to chip this thing down through Drain Punch Snarl, because, like I said, one crit will win me the game, and that's basically all I need if I can kill this Volcarona. He doesn't go for the Protect. We can't let that thing attack, and so now we're in a position where he's going to try to minimize our special attack. We've got to try to crit through him, and once we crit through, that'll basically wrap up the game, and we crit through right away. So, good game, Kirby, and I think I locked up playoff spots with that win, but I still have one more week in the regular season after this, so thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.